Welcome, class, to the fourth and final speech. I hope you all had fun. I know I did. And to have a little bit more fun, I decided to do this fourth speech on Spider Man. Specifically, I want to inform you on my love for Spider Man. I'm going to go through the speech and talk about the quick story of Spider Man and how that affects me. Spider Man, pretty much in my life, and where I have Spider Man, and also how that affects me in the long run and my lifelong goals with Spider-Man. Quickly, the Spider-Man story is a very interesting story because he's different than all the other superheroes you read about. He's not some rich guy who lives in a mansion and has all these special gadgets and stuff. He's not an alien from another world. He's not a mad scientist that somebody or that had a something go wrong and hurt them. However, Spider-Man is just a regular kid. Depending on when you read the comic, he's a high school graduate or a college student, and he's dealing with regular things in life. He's dealing with balancing having to be a superhero as well as school and work and trying to make ends meet. He focuses on keeping his family safe and keeping that from his secret superhero life as well. So his family is very, very important to him, as well as the love of his life, who technically wasn't the love of his life, but it's the woman that's meant for him, Mary Jane Watson. She's the one that comes along and really, truly loves him and is the only one that finds out that he is Spider Man. So he's able to share that secret he has with her, and that's not something he'd been able to do before. So it brings a whole other aspect into his life and into the relationship he has with her. The correlation that has with me, obviously, is my family and my girlfriend. Those are the two most important groups of people in my life. I balance work in the military life versus the outside world. I really try to have a secondary life outside of the military. Not unprofessional, just a matter of keeping the stress of work and deploying and the office itself at the office, and then have my life outside of work. My family is the single most important thing to me, and I would do anything I could to always protect them just like he can. Same thing with the girlfriend. Having the one person alongside you and somebody you can share something with, no matter what it is, how secret it is a very important thing. For Spider-Man in my life, um, I've grown up in a very intellectual household. A lot of reading was done when I was younger, and I've read a lot of epic stories, whether they're Lord of the Flies or Watership Down. A long story and tale of greatness or travel or power just speaks to me. And having read so much classical stuff, uh, I also was encouraged to be in the arts as well. And drawing was actually my portion of that. I was an artist. I loved to draw when I was a kid. I still love to draw. I draw a lot. Um, and so comics then came into my life. And, I dabbled and kind of saw different things. But Spider Man was the first one that I really saw this epic story of just a regular kid who had to deal with this whole life separate from what he was used to and what he could share with everybody. This epic story of his entire being and having to defeat his enemies in the long run. So that story really stuck with me for a long time, and I stuck with it. I've read the comic for you know about 20 something years now, and I've actually gone back to read older comics as well. Um, Obviously, I collect things like my shirt here, but I also collect other comics, like major comics that played a big part in the series or meant a lot to me. I've collected those as well, and I want to show you this here. Uh, this is one of my favorite comics. This is the one that Mary Jane Watson is actually introduced in. It's a very rare comic. It's a comic that you really can't find unless you're at a convention, and even then, they're very, very expensive. But this comic, as well as one more, this here, are my two favorite comics. This one specifically is my favorite because it's also done by a separate artist. This artist is Todd McFarlane, who went on to do different things like Spawn, and he has a new series called Haunt. The reason that one is so special to me is because of the art itself. I loved seeing the different artists as they came along. Um, the artists were always the major thing that spoke to me. You know, I have this tattoo as well from J. Scott Campbell. He's a completely different artist, and meeting them and seeing their different styles of writing and drawing really spoke to me, and that's what brought me into the comic book world. Um, but this comic with Todd McFarlane is another very special one to me because it kind of fulfilled a portion of my bucket list. I'll bring this back up here. I was able to have Todd McFarlane sign it, but the same day that I was actually able to meet Todd McFarlane, whom I've met a few times, I was able to scratch a piece off my bucket list by meeting and having Stan Lee sign it as well. Um, Meeting Stan Lee was a part of my bucket list because not just Spider-Man, but the entire Marvel universe. He created an entire world and universe, and he's older now, and to know how much of an impact he's had on our generation when it came to entertainment, it's not something you see in, you know, quickly on TV, and he's not a flash. He's been around for many years, and his impact will be around for even longer. And for me to be able to tell my kids that I've met Stan Lee and that, you know, I shook hands with him, the creator of an entire universe, it means a lot to me. Um, so Spider-Man has really played this whole portion of my life up. It helped it be something that I can enjoy and hopefully will be able to share with my family in the future. And I'm glad I could share it with you. Thank you, and I hope you understand my love for Spider-Man.